Hi everyone, I'm Tandy Gutierrez and welcome to your January new moon reading. So this month is like packed with moons, literally. We've got 2 full moons this month, so you're getting a bonus reading at the end of the month for the 31st. And then this is your new moon reading. So new moons are always that time of dark of the moon. There's no reflection. They sit conjunct the sun and the moon side by side, so it's dark. And dark of the moon is classically the most intuitive time, the time you will receive the most messaging if you're in meditation, if you've got quiet, if you're coming to the table for the cards and hearing your signs, symbols, omens, and going, that's the question I'm trying to answer right now. So anything I've learned over the years is that messaging gets stronger, one, when you are consistent, right, in your meditation and in your movement and in fueling your body and coming to the cards. But 2, the messaging from the cards gets much clearer when you're clearer about your question. And so you kind of go, Tanny, it's a general reading, like, aren't we just supposed to get the general energies? Yes, but if you come to these readings, so in this blah blah time, and you have a specific question, then you can really be listening and ready for the guidance and for the little flags that go off and you go, oh, that sounds like that's important to me, or that's exactly what I needed to hear. Okay, now I know which direction to take, because our lives are always a combination of fate and free will. And so if we're not asking questions, if we're not seeking, then we can't make decisions. We have no discernment and are incapable of judgment calls, right? And so you have to be able to make decisions and create, a judgment call in things in order to move forward. So even if it's the wrong decision, you made a decision, it moved energy, it moved you forward, and then all of a sudden there were big flags that were like, wrong one, and you go, okay, I will do something different. So we have to remember that even failures, right, the wrong decision often gives us so much information about how to get back on track or what track to even hop on in the first place, okay? So here's your new moon reading. Here we go. Using the Fountain Tarot. Seems to be the deck of 2018 thus far. 7-card spread. I'll hold them up as we go. And it's a general reading. So not everything's going to be for you, but I do think that there is messaging in everything, right? So if you're clear with your questions, then you're going to be able to hear your messaging better. And it's all about guidance. It's all about love. It's all about taking the positive spin on things. We all spiral into our, whole, it's interesting. We all spiral into the deep, like, oh, everything's broken. What's more interesting, what can be more challenging, is crawling out of that spiral, finding the positive choices, making one small decision to move in a different direction, to crawl out of the hole. Sometimes your readings are so fascinating, I just go, whoa, okay. So before we start your new moon reading for January 17th, those energies are usually good, the strongest about 3 days before and 3 days after. I kind of take the 3-day window, the day of the new moon, the 17th, the day before, and the day after. And that's for the northern hemisphere. So if you're in the southern part of the world, that's going to be a little skewed, different date-wise, but all in the same range. Then for the new and the full moons, because those are the ones that I really teach to, and those are the biggies, that energy lasts for the 2 weeks until the next one. So it's a great way to dig in and to really start to refine with the questioning. New moons are times of planting new seeds. They're wish making and intention setting. So this is about, what do you want to plant and what do you want to come to fruition later? Is it the goal still the same for you? Is the want and the wish still the same, or is it starting to feel a little bit different? So this new moon reading, the energy of right now, this is what I keep trying to remember to say, is that January, we're well into Capricorn season, right? And Capricorn is about doing. They work. I have a lot of very close friends that are double Capricorns, and I kind of feel like Capricorn is my spirit animal. They are capable of, climbing insurmountable odds kind of things. They're the little, on the mountain, a little goat that's like, how do they even fit and balance up there? It just works because they're willing to work it, right? So this month is very much about working and doing. and drive in things, and so that just needs to be said. And in working and doing and trying to climb the mountain, there's going to be challenges and difficulties, and some of it may look insurmountable, but remember, sometimes the way things look, you know, they aren't what they seem. So the overall energy of this new moon for us looks real scary. A Nine of Swords. That's why I was like, oh, when it came out. So we may be in a place that's like, oh, the new year. Okay, that's a made up holiday anyhow. Astrologically and holistically, this time of year has nothing to do with new and freshness. I love January being a 1 month of fresh starts and new beginnings, but it is the dead of winter. Let's be really clear. So I do think that things can look gloomy. I do know that seasonal disorder runs rampant at this time, right? We don't get as much grounding if we're in cold spaces, and there's not as much sunlight for most of us. So the energy of right now may be really dark and dreary and like, oh God, I thought I was supposed to feel like so inspired and so empowered this month. But this new moon is really, it's kind of pushing us to go, what are you really afraid of? Okay, so Nine of Swords is false fears, but it's also about the fears that you make up in your head. This doesn't mean that you're sitting there telling yourself lies. The false fears are those fears of don't do that, that's dangerous. Don't do that, that's too risky. That's scary. You know, it's usually the things that have been taught to us since we were children, or things that happened that seemed really scary to us. I'll share my own personal one. You know, when it comes to wealth and abundance, people all have, you know, we all have all kinds of stumbling blocks to it. My father was very wealthy growing up, and I watched him lose all of it. All of it. And so there's been an innate belief and fear in me that when you are too abundant or do too well, that it will be taken away or that it goes away. So you got to watch for not things that you're making up and actively telling yourself, but what are the fears that you just like, what are the things you go, oh, that's just too, that's risky. I think risky is a good word to use here, because what the Nine of Swords is these are false fears. These are your beliefs, right? That if you go turn the lights on, you know, there's no monsters in the closet. They were weird shadows from the funky hangers or the stuffed animal that was, you know, hanging over the side of the laundry basket. When you turn all the lights in the room on, you go, oh, we're dealing with that and somebody else's story, and that happened to him. That didn't happen to me. That wasn't actually my experience. And then we can start to rework that internal dialogue. So the overall energy of this moon is looking like a little scared to take some risks and scared of some old fears, because it harkens to that child, like your inner child of like, what are they most afraid of? It's time to go turn the lights on, okay? So that's the overall energy. What to leave behind in this new moon, because you always need to leave something behind. You have to release something in order to receive. There has to be energetic space in order for the universe to come in and support with something new. That's why like cleaning out your closets and spring cleaning, and why springtime is really the beginning of the new year, is because you got to make space for things to bloom and to grow. And when you release things into the universe, you say, I trust that what I need is going to come swooping in. And, you know, even if it's like, I don't know, an extra colander in the kitchen, you know, like I don't need 3 of them. I only need 1. And guess what? If I need 3, they'll make themselves available to me when the time is right. So you release the extra ones that you have that are taking up cluttered space. What to leave behind in this new moon. Knight of Swords. I think that's an interesting one. Knight of Swords is somebody who wins at all costs. They go slinging that sword around and they go hauling it. They win, but what they do is they tend to leave a lot of casualties behind and can really do some damage with words to people they didn't mean to. It was that fit of rage or fit of anger. So winning at all costs is very different than having faith that things will turn out well. And so it's about leaving behind, you know, that I'm going to go guns blazing and not care, you know, who and what it shakes down on the way, as long as I get the outcome. It's about really being more thoughtful, more strategized about it. Is that even a word? More long-term instead of the short term. Like there's probably a more creative way to get to the goal if you slow down a little bit. Yeah. Okay. What to receive with this new moon. So anytime you release something, like if you release the win at all costs, like warrior, like guns blazing attitude, you know, what it leaves space for is Six of Wands, which, I mean, it's super cool. It's like, you know, crowd surfing. Six of Wands is a celebration. It's triumphantly coming home. It's people are excited to see you and celebrating the things that you've done in the world. It's a celebration of accomplishments. So it's kind of the, you know, if you quit pushing how great you are at people, it actually leaves space for people to think you're great or for you to really show up and have the work acknowledged and the effort acknowledged. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, they always speak to each other so beautifully. But you go from Knight of Swords of like push, it's the overwork. I mean, Knight of Swords is actually kind of the double Capricorn. It's like the overworking it. Like you gotta rest and eat sometime, and that mountain will still be there. So the receiving is when you release this win at all cost attitude and the work, and everything's uphill, then you actually start to win some battles and receive recognition and have time to rejoice and time to celebrate. What to learn? I love this card. What to learn with this new moon? Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands is like, in this deck it's so cool too because he's building a staircase to the top of the pyramid. So I'm big on pyramids and triangles. And pyramids and triangles, you know, they amplify the energy of something, but they're always pointing towards the heavens. So it's always about, you know, giving reference to, you know, source and coming from source, but it also allows messaging from source to come directly to you. It helps direct and focus things. So what to learn in this new moon, in this card, is that you're almost there. You know, and so again, it's funny because I kept forgetting and then kept coming back to it's Capricorn season. There's a lot about drive this year in general about what you want to accomplish because Saturn moved into Capricorn. So there's going to be this thing all year long, a little longer than a year. But you've got to quit overworking things. You know, everything's, you got to fight for everything. That's kind of it. You know, you release that, then you allow the space for victories to come in and for other people to champion you. And that you're going to learn, you're almost there. You're almost at the top. Like there's a couple more steps to climb. You're going to have to build them, right? So again, this whole climbing thing is very clear in this one as well. This one is an up, you know, he's running up. And all those triangles are there too. And this is like when you can release the warrior attitude, you can then receive recognition, and then you're learning that you're almost there. It's not so far to the top now. Like you still got work to do. You still got climbing and effort, but you're almost there. These are great. These are great. What to give? Okay, that's really funny. And I don't mean funny because it's an unpleasant card sort of to look at. So Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords is the like, oh, we're just done. We are just done. We have taken all the swords to the back. I love Ten of Swords because this is about new beginnings. All of the old shit is done, okay? You can only be stabbed in the back so many times before you call BS on it, right? And so in other decks it comes up more clearly, you know, but in this one it's like, quit being a martyr, you know, so that you're, you know, what you need to give. I don't want to get too crass in this one. I don't know why I'm censoring myself. Just, you can't give too many shits, you know, like you only have so many to give. So like all those people who are stabbing you in the back and not supportive, it's basically this. All the people who are not supportive in your life, all of the energies and situations that are not supporting you for your highest and greatest good, that are not loving, that are not constructive, that are not empathetic, they gotta go. You don't have time and space for them anymore. There is no place else for another sword. That's it. And it's okay to be in this spot because this is the death of the old self. Right? Like, it's okay because you need to learn those lessons. Just think of every single one of those swords as a lesson. Okay? I put myself out there and did this. All right? I offered this up to them. Okay? And then you got to take a step back and go, it's not personal. Quit taking it personally. The Q-tip method. Okay? That you have to stop and go, I offered things in good faith and in good heart. And people tend to can misconstrue it, right? Look at that, what that person did to me, and they were so mean and so rude, and I never do anything nice, and nobody's nice. Hold up. You did something of pure heart and something really nice, okay? You have to keep it in the pure heart category, because giving, you have to give without the expectation of receiving, right? So we can lay out all the opportunities and good things for people, but if they ain't picking up what we're putting down, that's their problem, not ours. So if you offered them a sword in order to battle and slay the dragon over there, and they picked up that sword and stabbed you with it, yes, you are the one with the injury, but that's their problem. They saw you as the threat instead of the dragon, right? So this card is, what to give in this new moon is to give yourself release from all of the negative energies who don't uphold you and don't support you. Give yourself release from the old patterns of constantly helping people, expecting that you're going to get praise or something back, and start to shift into a more mature and responsible perspective of, I can offer in good faith. I need to expect nothing in return. I'm doing these things because I believe it to be the right thing in integrity and out of love. And whatever they do with those pieces with them, that's their business, that's their problem, that's their reflection, that's their stuff, right? And then because you give less energy to everyone else, you end up giving new life to yourself. Okay, so it is about this I got so many F's to give, right? And I'm out of them. So you want your concern and your energy and what you have to give to go to yourself, to go to your nearest and dearest, to go to what you can do in the world, how you can help, how you can expand, how you can make things better, how you can serve, right? So if all of your thoughts and concern and all that energy and emotional space is leaking out onto all of the people and situations who are not supporting you, now it's your own damn fault. Yes, register it, acknowledge it, feel it, and then move on, shift your focus. That takes away from what you can create and what you can do in the world. That's their stuff. Leave it with them. That means they're stewing in the ickiness and deciding to warrior and wage war instead of going, thank you, you gave me a sword, I'm going to take that and do, something valiant with it. It's what to give in this month is give the shits for yourself. I mean, God, man, I'm just going to keep repeating this, but those are the words that I'm coming up with, that it's it's kind of like you got to get a little lighter with stuff and a little flippant out of the greater good and the higher love and the higher connection, which sounds funny, but it's not. And it's constructive. You can only take so many swords to the back, then you got to start over, right? Because you got nothing to work with. It's all dead and gone. That's good. When the old stuff is dead, then the new stuff can rise, right? And this is what actually winter is about, and January, and this dying off and everything like that. Nothing's going to grow here because you're preparing for spring. So I can do my whole, New Year's thing, shenanigans on Instagram live later. But rebirth, new beginnings, fresh starts happen in the spring. This is still sorting stage and dying off stage. You do need to be working and doing, but it's not the time that everything's going to go, oh! I wish it were, but it's not. What is your heart's desire for this new moon? As a collective, our heart's desire, well, this is nice. It's this sharing resources. 6 of Cups. It's funny. I went on that whole tangent about swords. It's your heart's desire is that you offer something to the world or to people and they go, thank you. And then they turn around, whatever they're working on, they turn around and offer it to you. And you go, thank you. And we all fill in the gaps for each other. And so that's super easy. The heart's desire is that there's, a sharing and a receptivity to what you create and what you do and what you're giving and wanting to give to the world, and having that be reciprocal with the people in your inner circle or your circle. And that's, if you don't know who your inner circle is, that's who it is. It's the people who keep showing up and have, you know, the reciprocity to things like you do things for them, they show up for you, you have something amazing happen and they get excited for you and you get to do that for them. People who are not excited for you, just ask them to take a step outside that circle because they're not there anyway, you know, and then it's just dragging you down and you're leaking energy and then can't be your highest and best self. Resources. Okay, resources for this new moon, 10 of Cups. Okay, 10 of Cups traditionally is looked at as the happy endings card. This deck offers up something different in their booklet. And again, I'm not usually a fan of booklets, but this one I'm starting to appreciate. 10 of Cups is also balanced relationships. So, which is like, if you can see it on this card, it's like this super cool counterbalance, you know, pose. And then it looks like a trophy. So the resources in this new moon are balanced relationships, and again, funny that I was talking about the inner circle and relationships and people who show up for you. That's what you got to keep your eye out for. And if you are like looking around and ain't nobody standing in your circle with you, that's okay, because when you're like, that's actually a beautiful place to be, because if you're doing the work and you get your brain in the right space and you get your vibes in the right place and you're creating and doing, those people will start coming in. You have space for them, right? So this whole like, you got to release something in order to receive something. Well, if your space is open, you are primed and ready to start receiving people who really love and support you and can really show up for you. I've taken from somebody who spent a lot of time without a lot of people in that circle. 1 year, it's like, where did all these wonderful people come from? You know, so sometimes you must travel through the desert, you know, to get to paradise. And so the resources are that you know, these balanced relationships of people really being on your team and really being excited for your successes because they love you, because that's what real love is, right? Of like, I don't really know why they want to do this, but it makes them happy and it's not hurting anybody, so let's go champion that, because that's, you know, beautiful. But I also get a sense, aside from the card and the basic, is that I think in this new moon, there's going to be someone show up for you, like a new partnership, a new friendship, that's really supportive. And I'm getting this clear sense of like somebody who's listening and watching, feeling really like there's been nobody there for a long time. I totally know what that feels like, but just know you're just prepping the space. Like, go sage it, go put some flowers in the guest room of your space. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to make a place that's welcoming for people also. You have to allow them in. I think a lot of people who feel like nobody shows up for me, it's the Chicken Littles. I know how that goes. You have to let people in. It feels good to help somebody. People are excited to help, you know, but you have to leave space for them to help. So, interesting, very interesting. So January new moon. If you want to train with me on the mat and work in the physical space of your body, your fitness and your food, head over to mattinkitchen.com, or if you're already here at Matt and Kitchen, just go click sign up. If you want to schedule a private reading with me so that we can get into the details of what you're seeking, you know, awareness and insight on, tandygutierrez.com. Click on the private sessions. And then if you're not ready for any of that yet, go over to tandygutierrez.com and sign up for my newsletter. I send it out the first Saturday of every month, and it comes from contact@mattinkitchen.com and ends up in your promotional folder. So you will find it. There's lots of ways to connect. There's lots of ways to educate. There's lots of ways to motivate and support yourself for the highest and greatest good, body, mind, and spirit. So thank you. I love you so much, and I will see you next time.